Board guy is having a hard time, but I am not, as Oklahoma has a resounding top 25 win against Auburn. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about just what we learned about this Oklahoma team that I have ranked at number 6 in my week 4 top 25 and might be moving up in the AP. I also want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Nebraska, who lost a 28th straight to Michigan. And if we get some time, let's talk about which fan base might want their head coach fired. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and participate in the community by answering this question in the comments below. Where should Oklahoma be ranked after their really impressive win today against number 22 Auburn? This game was billed as the Jackson Arnold game, both for Oklahoma and for Auburn. Oklahoma, who had Jackson Arnold start games for them in 2024, and it didn't go well. The man fumbled the football 8 times, threw 3 interceptions, and then rather than stick it out and try to compete for the job with John Mateer, he decides to transfer to Auburn, where Hugh Freeze thinks he's got one. He thinks he's got the guy that everybody thought Jackson Arnold was, National Gatorade Player of the Year out of high school, a guy that can run his RPO offense, a guy that can run and throw. And whenever Hugh Freeze has had a guy that can run and throw, he usually goes and wins 10 games, going all the way back to his time at Ole Miss, and recently with Caden Salter at, not Caden Salter, with, I'm going to mess this up, aren't I? Because Liberty, who did he have? Malik Willis, my goodness, there it is, right there. So, knowing all of that, what did Oklahoma expect? About what you saw there, because the thing that I thought was impressive about Jackson Arnold, he wasn't able to do at a high level at Oklahoma, which is force the ball downfield. Now he's got a couple of wide receivers in Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton that Hugh Freeze wanted him to take advantage of. And early on, I kept wondering, like, shout out to my homegirl Terry, who asked me dead ass at halftime, what is going on? And I said, we got a freshman matched up on Cam Coleman. That's what it is. If I can see it, so can Brent Venables. So what they end up doing is rolling a safety over the top and trying to force Jackson Arnold to throw the ball to Eric Singleton a little bit more, and that helped to stem the tide just a little bit. But I thought it was more impressive what we got out of the defense, because the offense wasn't really great, but the defense continues to be outstanding. We're entering week 5 without Oklahoma having a single friggin' takeaway on defense, but it didn't matter in this game as the Sooners sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times. I remember the 2029 sacks, but against Kansas, but I also remember Alex Grinch's defense sacking Sam Ehlinger in 2019 9 times. The idea that Oklahoma had got to 9 6 times in a game but hadn't got to 10, especially with Brent Venables having been a defensive coordinator at Oklahoma for so long, I really wanted them to get this. And it's a 1-score game. At the time, it's 22-17. And I'm thinking, all right, do not sell out to go get this statistic. Don't do that. Win the football game. But what happens? We get to see them come running free once again, and Jackson Arnold on his back in the end zone for the safety. Now, far be it from me to tell you that I knew Brent Venables calling the defense meant something different for Oklahoma, but it is one of the reasons that I ended up ranking them in the preseason top 25 and in the top 10. Unlike the coaches poll, who you'll remember did not rank this team in the preseason top 25, and they were starting at 18 in the AP. They've since moved their way up to 13 and now up to 11 with 2 top 25 wins and 4-0 going into an idle week where it feels like this Oklahoma team can get Texas. That was not really on the table to start this season, even with John Mateer at quarterback. But now, with a quarterback who can throw for more than 270 yards and run for touchdowns, Oklahoma has a Heisman finalist in the lead, right? It also has an SEC schedule that is going to push it up the rankings if it keeps winning, because this is the first of 8 SEC opponents they face. So the gauntlet has been very well picked up by the Sooners and said, we'll take that challenge. For those of you that do not understand, allow me to indulge with my English professor brain here. To throw a gauntlet is to throw a glove on the ground and challenge an opponent to pick that glove up and fight you. It's kind of like putting a chip on your shoulder and asking somebody who wants to fight you to knock it off so we can get to the getting. I got chip tattooed on my shoulder. It tells you what kind of person I am. But That is what was in front of Oklahoma when it went to the SEC. And that is what it felt like we were getting into last year when we talk about Oklahoma football. It wasn't that Oklahoma had to play in the SEC. It's that the SEC had to play in Oklahoma, right? It's that Rorschach in a prison going, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Finished 6-7, was 2-6 in SEC play. And Brent Venables knew there had to be some changes. There were even calls for Brent Venables to be fired heading into this season. Myself, no. Brent understands Oklahoma in a way that very few head coaches might. He is not going to fold under that pressure, and he's also not going to act as if it's not there. He is going to say the standard is winning. This is a man who beat Michigan, and all he could say was, I'm happy that our fans get to celebrate this, but we reached the standard tonight. We got to keep doing that each and every day. It's a man that gets up ready to work. It is a talented grinder. And as a talented grinder myself, I recognize it. It is wanting to get up in the morning to attack those stadium steps. It's wanting to get up in the morning to attack the day, to not really think about what happened yesterday, but only what you can achieve, right? As many of you have been a part of this show since the very beginning, almost 8 years ago now, grown from 0 to 140,000. All I keep thinking about is I have to make you proud. I have to keep creating the kind of content that you want to see and make this kind of a show. 24-17 is also a wild score for me because Oklahoma usually needs to win this game by outscoring people by some margin. In the Lincoln Riley days, you're talking about putting up 40 points, 42 points, and the defense not being able to do much of anything. In this game, we didn't see Jackson Arnold have any time to move. He was just 21 of 32 for 220 with the TD. It's actually one of his better passing performances all year. But as he kept dropping back, he kept getting punished. Again, 10 sacks of Jackson Arnold. 220 pass yards, but just 67 on the ground. I thought Jeremiah Cobb would have had a lot more to do with this game going in. I also think holding them to 3 of 15 on third down is nothing too shabby, but more importantly, there's room for Oklahoma to grow here. This was by no means a classic performance on offense or defense. They had 9 penalties for 99 yards. I guarantee you, tomorrow morning, that will be the thing that Brent Venables is yelling about. 9 penalties? 99 yards? Think of all the real estate we gave away. Think of all the opportunities that we gave away. And right when it felt like Auburn might have had the score that would have otherwise broken an Oklahoma team's back, they got back on the ball. And John Mateer helped orchestrate one of the great drives of this season to go back down and not just get 3 points like they had been doing the previous 3 times they scored. It was to go get 6, right? And the idea that you would have a quarterback who has that kind of moxie is not new to Oklahoma. It's why John Mateer and Baker Mayfield feel like much of the same guy, but it's a little bit better than that from a statistical standpoint. I really love this stat. There have been just a handful of quarterbacks to pass for and rush for a TD in every game consecutively 9 times or more, right? D'Eriq King has the record at 16 consecutive across Houston and Miami. The other guys on that list are John Mateer, who gets to 10 straight with this game, Marcus Mariota, who won the Heisman Trophy, Lamar Jackson, who won the Heisman Trophy, and Tim Tebow, who won the Heisman Trophy. Now, Marcus Mariota ends up playing for a national championship. Tim Tebow ends up winning one. And yeah, Lamar Jackson played at a Louisville team that just did not have the kind of talent around him that is worthy of what he got, say, when he got to the Baltimore Ravens. But that's not true at Oklahoma. You have a defense that's just as good as your offense. And when Oklahoma is balanced, cancel Christmas, dog. It feels like a 10-win team. It feels like an 11-win team. It feels like the kind of team that can run the table and go undefeated. And there's still more tests to come. Auburn is by no means the best team that OU has left on its schedule. But you would be ridiculous not to think that this team has really put itself in a great position to make the college football playoff with 2 ranked wins, top 25, both at home. And Michigan getting the win against Nebraska, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, also only strengthens your resume if you're OU. If that's not a top 10 team in the AP, I don't know what is. When you look at the wins they have and the way that they were able to get them, R. Mason Thomas turning into a dude. I think I was late on Grayson Halton. I didn't think he was going to be that great. The idea that Gentry Williams be your lockdown corner was giving me the willies, right? And the what for and how now. But then you have a guy like Jared Kanek who goes to Brent Venables and says, hey, I think I can help us offensively. I think I can help us do more. And that's exactly what it is. I think of him as Tree Flowers. Some of y'all go all the way back with Dimitri Flowers, understanding what kind of a fullback he was. But in the passing game, he's just an unexpected add in that Deion Burks is still doing great work there. And then you get Keontez Lewis, who's been outstanding. But Isaiah Satanga, man, if that dude can catch the football like he was catching the football today, then you got a complete set of wide receivers that you can rely on. I mean, he had 9 catches for 127 and a TD today. That one they tried to take off the board. And my favorite part of this game is the surrender cobra that we got from Hugh Freeze, who was crashing out real time, dog. Like, to start the game, he's crashing out because he thought they had an interception, right? And then at the end of the game, he's crashing out with the hands on his head because there's nothing he can do out there. He understands now what Oklahoma fans were feeling as Jackson Arnold was playing. It's not that you wish the man bad. It's not that he is inconsistent throwing the ball. It's that he'll hold it long enough that you can run him down. And against SEC defenses, you can't outrun these folks. John Mateer is experiencing that against DJ Durkin's offense. But the cheeky trick play in the first half, I also really love. Man didn't step out of bounds. He's technically on the field. They're not simulating the substitution. It's one of those famous hidden ball tricks, right? You lose track of the guy and he's wide open. You go get your easy 6. That's what you bring in a guy like Ben Arbuckle to do, to go get you a bucket, is the way that I would refer to it. You have a head coach or an offensive coordinator, play caller that can go get you a win that might not have been there. That's what separates a good coach from a great coach. And right now, you got a 29-year-old who is seeing it with a quarterback that he trusts and an Oklahoma team that is surging. My goodness, what an outstanding win for the Sooners, who next get to go right back into that thing against Texas following a bye week. I'm going to take a short break here. We come back. Let's talk a little bit about Michigan, what its win against Nebraska means for the Huskers, what it means for Oklahoma. And is this Michigan team, good?